Complicated, complex political systems in the world, and worth showing you this on AlJazeera.com, the power players in Lebanese politics, who they are, who they're allied with. You have the Future Movement, a Sunni majority party led by Saad Hariri and backed by Saudi Arabia. You also have the Free Patriotic Movement, which is a Christian majority party led by the president, Michel Aoun, who's also a former army general. And of course, there's the Shia party, Hezbollah, closely allied with Iran and headed by Hassan Nasrallah, among others. Now, let's bring in Rami Khouri to the news grid. He's in Boston in the US. He's a senior fellow at the Issam Fares Institute for Public Policy at the American University in Beirut. Rami, I think, one thing that everyone agrees on is that when it comes to the situation in Lebanon, is that this is not an internal Lebanese issue. First of all, why would Saudi Arabia want to lose its man? Why would they push Hariri to quit the government?
Probably because he wasn't very effective, and he didn't really achieve the goal that Saudi Arabia wanted him to achieve, which is to somehow create a new governing coalition in Lebanon that reduces Hezbollah's relative power within the system. That was a very difficult task, and it couldn't be done. Also, the Saudis are reeling from failed policies around the region. Their war in Yemen is a disaster. Their siege of Qatar hasn't worked very well and is making them and the Emiratis look a little bit ridiculous internationally. Not a single world serious country has supported them. And now in Syria, they've essentially lost their bid to support the opposition to overthrow Assad. And so they're looking desperately for some kind of win. And the general feeling among most analysts who know these issues well is that they are looking to Lebanon again, as Lebanon has been since the 50s, as a regional shock absorber and battleground.
What came as a surprise here also is that just a few days ago, Saad Hariri basically had okayed, he was still prime minister, and he had okayed sending a Lebanese ambassador to Syria. Why would he then turn around just a few days later and say he was quitting the government because of Iran's interference in the regional politics?
Well, also, just last week, he was receiving the senior envoy of the leader of Iran. But the reason he reversed these things is because he's a politician, and that's what politicians do. They don't have strong, principled positions, and they do whatever is important in the short run. And in this case, Hariri is a weak politician. He hasn't been a very successful prime minister or leader of the Sunnis in Lebanon, even though his government and his working with President Aoun has allowed Lebanon to make some real progress recently with the government, the parliament working, passing new laws, new taxation system, budget, etc. And elections were planned and an election law was agreed. So these are big advances for Lebanon, but they prove to be very brittle. Again, Lebanon falls back into the danger zone where it is an easy place for external powers to intervene and create chaos.
You talk about that.
The added problem of the Israelis constantly...
Yeah, I was going to come to that, actually.
The added problem of the Israelis pressuring Lebanon and Trump, with the American government now with new sanctions on Hezbollah. So these just proved to be too complex for Hariri or the Lebanese government system to handle. And it seems that the Saudis basically told him to step down, but we'll find out more soon.
And you alluded to this a short while ago, Rami. A recurrent question when it comes to Lebanon is how, a country with such a fragile political situation with so many divisions didn't implode after 2011, given its close proximity to Syria. And is that going to change now with this political situation?
Well, what we have, which is important in the country, is after the Syrians were pushed out of Lebanon, the Lebanese government has reasserted a lot of authority, and particularly in military, police, and judicial affairs internally. And Hezbollah has been strengthened and is working with the Lebanese armed forces, and they pushed back the Takfiri Salafists, the Islamic State and others from the northeastern border. So there are some positive developments inside the country, as well as the incredible capacity of the Lebanese to put up with incompetence and corruption and governance, while at the same time getting on with the dynamism of daily life. And because it's a country of immensely talented people who have the freedom to to develop their full human potential and work openly for the betterment of their country, or even if just for themselves. So the system is a very peculiar one. It's unlike any other Arab country, and it's open to anybody to interfere. And this is what we're seeing now. The level of interference is greater than ever. The weak point for the Saudis, if they are using Lebanon to try to reduce Hezbollah's power to try to weaken Iran, they're almost certainly going to fail, as they failed in all their other regional interventions. Hezbollah and Iran have only gotten stronger in the last 15, 20 years, and now the Russians are major players in the region, and I would not be surprised to see Russia suddenly stepping into Lebanon and also gaining while the U.S. and the Saudis lose.
Rami Khouri, very good to get your thoughts on this. Thank you so much for joining us on the News Grid. Rami Khouri is from the American University of Beirut. He was joining us there from Boston. Thank you for your time. And don't forget, you